Welcome, my fellow binge watchers. Ron here, and it's time for us to kick back, relax, talk a little bit about what we've been watching, playing, reading, and anything in between, really. So first, before we get started, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. About a week ago, I uploaded a video where I talked a little bit about the future of the channel and that how I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to go about it. Hey, baby. I just got incredible support from everybody on basically just doing, whatever I feel comfortable doing. Cuckoo Lily. And I just got, overwhelming support from you guys about just, doing whatever it is that I feel passionate about, that I feel comfortable with, which is exactly what I'm going to do. So thank you for that, and thank you for your support. I know that some of you have actually said, like, hey, asking your audience what they want to see is not the right move, because then you'll just be pandering instead of, putting out the things that you're excited about. But I'm excited about both, talking about the things that are interesting to me. Okay, I don't remember exactly where I left off. As I was talking earlier, there were a bunch of planes flying like right out here. I think that maybe I was able to catch some of it. It's the show that they do for Independence Day. And then I put the girls down for their nap, so they're asleep now. Anyway, what I was trying to say is thank you for all the support, and I will definitely keep making videos about the things that I'm interested in and passionate about, but it was also very important to me to make sure that, you're still going to have fun with it, because the conversation, the community is really what it's all about. In not just this channel, probably, like, most of the channels that I watch and enjoy are the ones where it's fun to kind of interact together as a community. So yeah. So in terms of what I've been watching lately, it's been a little bit all over the place for me, because ever since they put up the whole 6 seasons of Community up on Netflix, it's been difficult for me to watch anything else. So I've been watching a lot of Community. I did watch season 1 and 2 and maybe a little bit of season 3 of Community like years ago. But I never went beyond that, and I never really read about like the history of the show and everything that kind of went down behind the scenes. And it's funny because when I watched it now and I got to season 4, like halfway through season 4, I was like, this kind of sucks. I mean, this is like, it became weirdly just like any other sitcom, and it lost that wonderful edge that that Community had. Like, I always compare Community to Big Bang Theory as two shows who kind of reference and make jokes about pop culture and geek culture and all of that, but Community being the one that does it like from the inside with an actual understanding of the things that it's making fun of. So it's a lot funnier for people who are interested in that sort of stuff. While Big Bang Theory is like that, I never found Big Bang Theory funny, because it's I mean, my wife loves it, but maybe it's because it's more of a show for people who have friends who are geeks, and it's kind of like, okay, let's make fun of them rather than, which is fine. But I never felt that Big Bang Theory really understood the things that it was making fun of, which Community does. Anyway, after I got to season 4, I read up on all the things that, went down, that Dan Harmon was fired and all that, and it was just so crazy how big of an impact that had on the show that you could just feel it. I actually quit season 4 about halfway because it just wasn't funny. It felt like a waste of time. Season 5, I'm about halfway through it now. It's it definitely got back to its roots, but because there were changes from the original cast, I mean, it's it kind of lost its steam, so I'm not binging it with the same like tenacity that I did the first few seasons, but I'm still having a lot of fun with it. And I know that there's another D&D episode in season 5 still waiting for me, so I'm excited about that, because the D&D episode in season 2, I think, it might be my favorite episode. Another show that I've been watching lately, of course, is Hunters. The review for that is already up on the channel, or at least it should be by the time that this video is up. Absolutely loved Hunters. Please go watch the review that I made for it. I'm not gonna go too deep into it here because I made a whole video about it. It's on Prime Video. I just thought it was such a good show with, you know, an interesting premise, a fantastic balance between everything that's kind of light and fun and everything that is deep and darker. And Al Pacino just delivers a breathtaking performance. Al Pacino is also pretty much the only part that I really loved about The Irishman, the Netflix movie that he was in, that I in general didn't really like that movie, but Al Pacino in it just, you know, I think I said it in my review for that movie, he continues to prove that he's just one of the best even now, all these years later. And just to talk about a couple more shows that I'm in the middle of, or like that I haven't finished the season that I'm watching yet. My wife and I started watching Patriot on Prime Video as well, which is kind of like a political thriller, and it's so different than what I thought it was. I mean, the premise is something that you've heard before. There's a job to do. There's only one man who can do it. There's a bit of a leap in terms of the guy who can do it happens to be the son of like this big shot, like political figure, like whatever. Maybe they get to that later on in the season. We're 3 episodes in, I think. And so far, I'm absolutely loving it. It's again, I love it when shows, and Amazon Prime seem to be really good at this. I love it when shows are able to strike a balance between telling something that is deep, a story that has some depth and thoughtfulness to it. It does deal with like the darker side of the characters and their psyche. But it manages to do it in a way that doesn't feel too heavy. So the delivery is still fast-paced enough, and it still has its fun moments. And so far, Patriot definitely does that. So I predict that I will love this show all the way through. We'll see, but first impressions, I'm loving it so far. And I finally am getting around to watching season 5 of Better Call Saul. I watched season 4 of Better Call Saul. I know I didn't make a review for it, or at least I think I didn't make a review for it, because I didn't have much else to say. I really liked the first seasons, and I really liked season 4, and I didn't feel that I have enough new things to say. And also, I think I watched it in, you know, that gap year, the gas leak year, the year that I didn't really make a ton of videos. But I really did like season 4, and I don't know, for whatever reason, I never continued on to season 5. But I'm doing it now, and I'm 3 episodes in, and it's just more of what I love. And I think it's just incredible how this show is able to differentiate itself from Breaking Bad. I think that during season 3 of this show, I think in my review for it, I called it the Breaking Bad-ening, that it does do more fan service to Breaking Bad fans, which there's nothing wrong with, but the show has really evolved from there into its own thing. And I think that right now it's I don't know if it's comparable to Breaking Bad, because it's a very different style of show, but I think it's definitely like one of the best things out there right now, just in terms of the level of writing, the level of performances, the themes in the show that are incredibly thoughtful and interesting. So far, I'm having fun with it. It's definitely not the type of show that I like binging. It's the type of show where I like to watch one episode, you know, think about it a little bit, let it, you know, like stir around in my head for a little bit, and then watch another episode. So it might take me a little while before I finish the season, but that doesn't mean that I'm enjoying it any less, because I'm really enjoying it so far. So doing really well on all the shows that I'm watching. There's nothing that I'm watching currently right now that I'm not having fun with. I'm just gonna commit to being all over the place in these videos. Hope that's cool. A few nights ago, we watched Extraction, the new Chris Hemsworth movie on Netflix. Just a through and through action movie. Doesn't pretend to be anything else. Super bare bones plot. Like, the whole plot of the movie literally is condensed to one word, which is the title of the movie. It's just an action movie about, Thor going into this place to get this kid, and on his way out, he just, has to kill, like, literally every single person in that city. It's directed by the guy who did a lot of the stunt coordination for the Avengers movies, and it was written by one of the Russo brothers and produced by the other one, so it's like that whole Avengers gang teaming up to do an action movie in the post John Wick world, because it definitely draws a lot from John Wick. I thought it was pretty great. I mean, one of the weirdest criticisms that I saw about this movie in a bunch of reviews is about like excessive violence, which is so weird to me, because that, to me, that's like going to, I don't know, like a NASCAR race and say, like, complaining about there are too many cars here just like driving around in circles. Like, yeah, it's a violent movie. That's all the movie wants to be. All the movie wants to do and aims to do and does pretty well is to show you kick-ass fight scenes, and it does that really, really well. I think I still like John Wick better, just because there's more like hand-to-hand combat there, but I think it's on that level. If we continue with the same comparison to John Wick, then John Wick also has a very bare bones plot. If we're just talking about the first movie, someone killed his dog, so he goes out and just kills like all of the people that there are ever in the universe. But they do a bit more world building. They do give us like a few more layers into Keanu Reeves' character. So it's a little bit more interesting. Maybe you're a little bit more invested. I don't know. In Extraction, there really isn't anything in terms of character development or plot. The plot is, as we said, like super simple. But I really don't see anything wrong with that, because the movie has no pretenses. It doesn't, try to be anything but a series of kick-ass action scenes. And you definitely get that. So one of the questions that you ask yourself pretty often, every day, when you're home with young children, which is every day now, is, do I clean up and pick up after them after they go down for their nap at noon? Or do I just leave everything messy, all the toys, everything, because that once they wake up, they'll just want to play with everything again, and it's more time efficient to pick up everything and clean up only in the evening after they take a nap. As you might be able to tell from our indoor playground here, I'm in that second school of thought. And speaking of the whole COVID situation and everything that's going on right now, I really hope that you're doing well and that you are able to find something that resembles normalcy in your life, or at least that you're doing well. For me, the thing that really gets to me is not so much having to spend a lot of time, at home with the girls. Of course, that can get like repetitive and exhausting, but all in all, I really like spending time with them, and that's really not the part of it that I find difficult. It's more work, right? Because in my day job, and I think a lot of us are this way. I really and maybe I need to finish my day with a feeling of productivity. Like, I need to finish my day feeling that I did something. Like, to use one of the slimy business terms, that I moved the needle, or at least that I was productive. And right now, because it's difficult to actually find the time to sit down and do uninterrupted work, it's really hard to feel that way, because the whole perception of what is normal or acceptable for you during a day's work, what can you actually achieve in a day's work, that whole thing has changed, right? So there are many days where I would finish my work day like super late at night. The girls have gone to sleep, and I'll keep working until like, into the night. But then by the time I go to sleep, I feel like I didn't accomplish anything today. I wasn't really being productive, just because everything is such a mad scramble. The company I work for is really good about, the whole situation, really meeting us halfway and having reasonable expectations. So I have no complaints there, but it's just, that has been, that of course, and, being far away from family and friends, those are the things that are really getting to me. I guess the silver lining to all of this is that with the girls at home all the time now, I've always felt incredibly close to them, and from the second they were born, they were just my entire world and everything to me. But just being able to see them grow from day to day and feel like I'm getting to know them on such a deeper level is incredibly rewarding. I'm not saying it's not difficult. It is. Like, I'm not trying to like shrug off the difficulties. Definitely, like, it can be a lot. It's exhausting. Any parent will tell you that. But I don't know, when I look at it from like a bigger picture perspective, they're just great. I just love them so much. Okay, wow, it is days later. I really need to get better at making these. Yeah, lots of exciting stuff happened. I was able to get out of the house finally, get a haircut. My daughter Lily grabbed my iPhone and threw it across the living room, and it did not survive that. So I had to go out and get a new phone. All very, very exciting. But the final thing that I did want to talk about in this video was books. The books that I'm reading, and I am excited to learn about the books that you are currently reading. So I think that I mentioned in some of my previous videos that I was reading Joe Abercrombie's First Law trilogy, and I read that a while ago and really, really liked it. So I went ahead and read I'm taking a break from the Wheel of Time books for now. So I read Better Served Cold, which is another novel taking place within the First Law universe. They say that you don't really have to read any of the previous books in order to, get everything, because it's like a self-contained story, and Joe Abercrombie himself on interviews says that he didn't like how some fantasy series are like 1 million books long. But now, after having read the book, you do kind of have to read the First Law trilogy to really get the most out of the book. So if anything, it really is like, it felt kind of like, book 4 of the series. Anyway, I really liked it. It's sort of like this, fantasy, like low fantasy take on a gangster revenge story, featuring some of the characters from the First Law, and some of the others are referenced, and the references are done really well, but you can really only pick up on them and, understand how cool they are if you are already familiar with the other characters. So that's why I do think, like, I don't know how much I would enjoy this book if I just picked it up and read it without, being familiar even a little bit with the world of the First Law. And after I finished that one, I actually picked up 2 new books, which I don't know why I do that. But I started reading Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. Really good so far. I really like his style. I'm like 60% into the book right now, so well over the midway point. Still very much like an Assassin's School type story. I don't really love school stories. Like, I wasn't able to get through. Like, I got through Name of the Wind, but I wasn't able to get through the second one, just because. Like, it's the combination of, I had a ton of issues with that book, but one of them was it's a school story, and I'm not a big fan of that trope. So I think Mark Lawrence does it really well. I think his character work is really good. I really like the way that he writes action as well. I'm definitely going to keep reading this series, but I really want them to, get out of the school setting. I'm not going to go too much into it just because of spoilers. Someone is drilling in the apartment next door, and it feels like they're not only drilling into my wall, it also feels like they're drilling into my brain. The other book that I picked up was Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames, which I think I'm about like 20% into that book, and it reads very much like just, like someone wrote the chronicles of their D&D adventure, and I'm loving it so far. I love his style. I don't know if it will go as deep as some of the other books that I read recently, but it certainly is a very easy to read, very fun book so far. And the characters seem interesting enough, so there could be enough depth in there as well. But even if there's not, even if it's just like a fun romp, I'm all in for that. And speaking of D&D, I've been in like a renaissance of D&D lately, because I haven't played D&D I think for like 10 years, and now all of a sudden I have like 3 different games going. And by the way, if you're on Roll20, the virtual tabletop platform, and you want to play D&D with me, I think I'm going to be running a few games pretty soon. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you want to do, and maybe we'll be able to play some 5e together. Oh, and finally, video games. There have been 3 games that I've been playing lately. For whatever reason, I've gotten back into Total War. So I've been playing Total War Warhammer 2, which is kind of like, I should really stop because it's an amazing game, but it's such a time sink. I mean, it just pumps all of the time out of my life and into that game, and there's a lot of other things going on, so I'm probably gonna let that game go for a while and just stick to the PS4, like short half-hour sessions, like here and there. After a super long time, I was finally able to finish The Last of Us, which, oh my god, I mean, a lot of you are not gonna approve of the way that I played that game, because I suck at stealth games and I hate stealth games. It's just not for me. I mean, it's too slow, and like I don't mind the occasional stealth, segment within a game, but a game where a lot of the action depends on stealth, no, that's not for me. And that's one of the reasons that I didn't really play The Last of Us up until now, because I didn't know what I was missing from a story perspective. So I just played it on easy. I just played the whole game on easy and enjoyed the story. And, this game is just like, the story is so, like, the premise itself is pretty straightforward. It's a zombie apocalypse story. But the connection between the characters, the relationship, the depth of those characters, the quality of not just the voice acting, but also the motion capture, like their facial expressions as they're talking between Ellie and Joel, just incredible. And I was so moved by that story. I just, I finished it and I just kind of stared at the wall for a little bit, just digesting everything, like that feeling you get after you finish a really, really good story. That's what that game gave me. It was incredible. And now I started playing Control. I only just started last night, so no thoughts yet, other than I don't think I like the voice actor for the main character. But I only played a couple of hours. And I am interested to know, what about you? What have you been reading, watching, or playing lately? What have you been doing? What have you been interested in lately? Is there anything that sort of popped back into your radar after a while? Just let me know about those things. Let's talk about them in the comments. Also, you can feel free to join our Discord server where we chat about these things as well. Even though it's kind of messed up because I lost my login for it, so I don't have admin rights to my own Discord, but and I actually contacted Discord and they basically said, well, nope, sorry, can't fix it, bye. So I don't know. It's been cool so far. Yeah, I'm rambling. In any case, keep binging, and I'll see you next time.